So here on this project, I'm about to show you guys how I typically go through the process of breaking down slabs to make usable boards. On this project, I'm planning to make a couple boards to make some boxes for a memorial that somebody asked me to do. So right now, I'm just deciding on what slabs I'm going to break down, how I'm going to do it. I'm planning to get like 3/8 inch thick boards out of all this. So here you see me already running through with my little track saw. Well, track saw jig is more or less just a piece of MDF to make a straight edge. I typically break down everything into smaller pieces, and once I have it all broke down, I typically run it through a table saw to clean up the other edge. And yeah, so once I get everything broken down to small and manageable pieces and get a straight edge on everything, I typically set it up inside the truck and go to my table saw. Here is actually another slab that I actually broke down. It's not the ones that I'll use for the box, but this is an example of me using the track. I clamp the track to the slab and I mark up where I want my straight edge to go. Then I run the track through, and here, that's kind of the waste cut or the live edge that's still left. It's always hard to cut a live edge like that off. I love to keep stuff like that, but in this scenario, when you need a straight edge, you need a straight edge to make your boards. And then once you have that, you're able to run it through your table saw, which is what you're about to see me do in just a moment. Yeah, now you have a square edge that you can set up against the saw, and what I'm getting ready to do now is actually start running the board through, so that way I have a square stock, parallel on both sides. And once you get there, you pretty much have, workable material. I think what I end up doing for the boxes, though, I end up ripping everything vertically as well, because the boards were maybe I think 1 3/4 was the thickness, close to 8/4, and I was able to rip them in half to 7/8 and then mill everything down to the final thicknesses as far as what I actually wanted from the material. And here I'm looking at what I have after breaking down my slabs, trying to decide on, do I need to grab another slab from the backyard, and what would be the best course of action. What I decided to do was switch to making all the boards that I need for the tops, because I know those are going to be 1 inch thick and the sides are only going to be 3/8. So let me mill everything to 1 inch and get everything I needed for all the tops. And then after that, I'm going to switch up processes to making everything for all my smaller side panels. So here, I'm just running the rest of the pieces that I already cut down with a straight edge and ripping everything to roughly about 4 inches, so that way I can resaw it on the table saw. I didn't really want to have to resaw anything taller than like 4, maybe 5 inches, because my fence itself is only but so tall. So I ended up ripping everything down to 4 inches, and then I was able to resaw them all. And here you see pretty much all the pieces that I have laid out for the tops. I'm thinking about doing a variation of poplar, walnut, poplar, cedar, and then cedar and walnut, because those were the slabs that I ended up working with. And I think the box tops that I was planning on were only going to be about 18 inches, so I ended up making the boards long enough to get 2 of them out of it. Then here's just a stack of everything I have milled down for the sides, because again, I was able to take the thicker 1 inch board, 1 3/4 boards, and run them through on their sides and get either 2 or 3 strips out of it that were roughly about 3/8. And pretty much this is the stacks of everything I have. Nothing's been through the planer yet. Everything's just been through the table saw, ran on edge to get my individual boards. My next step process from here will be to glue everything up to make the actual panels that I need. All the boxes were going to be about 5 to 7 inches tall, I think is what I was going for. So with 4 inch strips, I'm able to glue two of them together to get my total width that I needed. And from here, you're able to see kind of how I was laying everything out, trying to decide on the looks that I wanted. I liked how a lot of the poplar ended up having a bunch of spalting in it. You can see it right there. Looks really good. So yeah, again, I got the planer out and I just started running stuff through the planer. You can see there how the edges get cleaned up from the rough sawn slabs that I started with. And now I'm pretty much working with boards, but I know I needed wider boards, so now I'm pretty much taking the boards that I had milled down and making panels that will allow me to make my boxes. And then, after I was in the process, I started noticing that my planer was bogging down, so I decided that I needed to clean off my rollers and also wax the bed of my planer. I did both of those and it was still going kind of rough, so I decided to switch up from planing all the boards that I had and just getting all the tops ready so I can start throwing those into clamps, because I had to get those CNC'd with the names of the people that I had passed for the memorial. This project again was for the municipal shooting over in Virginia Beach that happened roughly about 4 years ago. So I knew I had a deadline to get all the tops done so I can get them CNC'd. So I switched focus to again getting all those glued up as you see here, and then getting those ran through the planer. I got all those finished up and then sent those out to get CNC'd, and then the next day I went and grabbed new blades for my planer, which made all the difference. Definitely took longer than I should have to change those blades out. But yeah, I think it was the next day that I got the blades swapped out, and you can see here the cleaner, well, probably can't tell the difference in the cut, and I probably should have been recording while actually running everything through the planer, but one thing I can say is that it made a world of difference. Between having the bed waxed, the rollers clean, and fresh blades in it, it made the planing significantly easier, quieter, and a lot faster. I think just doing the tops took me roughly 3 to 4 hours just to get all those boards planed up and surfaced to the same thickness so I can do my glue ups. But now that the planer is situated, I'm ready to start running all my side panels through, and this is me pretty much starting the process, taking a few passes, rotating it, trying to get one side cleaned up. So I typically do a shallow pass, kind of like skip planing, pretty much just to clean up all the glue and achieve a flat side. And once I get my flat side, then I will flip it over so I can keep milling the other side. And once I have two parallel sides, I have workable boards for my panels for my boxes. And this is again, I think at this point I have most of them milled up. Those are all my tops over there on the right, and those are about to get sent off to my CNC guy, and all of the sides are just getting planed up. And I think they're about there. I believe all those were my bottoms, and everything else on the left and everything outside was all of the side panels. I ended up getting everything down to just over a 1/4 inch. They were like 5/16, not quite 3/8, which was what I was originally aiming for, but due to non-perfect glue ups and trying to make everything uniform, I ended up going with 5/16 sides, and the bottoms ended up being 3/8. And this is where I'm just pretty much more or less talking about the layout that I was planning to do. Had a lot of poplar and more cedar than walnut, so I believe I made all the bottoms pretty much out of the cedar scraps and out of all the poplar scraps. So you saw on some of those other ones where I had like 3 or 4 boards glued in there just to kind of make the bottoms not so bland. Yeah, like, you know, solid poplar, but then I threw some strips of cedar or something else to kind of mix up the colors. And again, they're the bottom of the boxes, most people won't see them. And then this is actually all the side panels planed and already, well, I've already done all the glue ups more or less, and everything's been planed and cleaned up. These are pretty much ready to go into the miter saw and stop block so I can start making all the cuts, which is what you're about to see me do in just a moment. With a good stop block setup, I'm able to just pretty much batch out all the lengths that I need for my tops and all my side pieces, and then afterwards I'll come back and do all the miters. Right now, the only thing I was worried about is getting everything to the proper lengths, and then I'll set up another stop block so I can do all of my miters to make sure all the side panels are all the same size so I can actually make them perfect boxes.